In a capitalist society, you're not rewarded because of how much good you put out in society or how much you benefit others. In fact, it's the complete other way around. The most people who are rewarded in a capitalist society are those who benefit the least amount of people. Think of finance bros. Think of corporate lawyers. Think of people who get paid a lot of money just to make more money for the top 1%. On the other hand, look at teachers, look at nurses, look at people who work in nonprofits. They make some of the lowest wages relatively, yet they benefit so many people in comparison. And they've been lying to you. They've been saying that those who make more income are more useful to society, and they deserve it. They deserve that additional money. But that is completely not true. The people who make the most money are the people who tend to harm society overall as a collective much more than those who tend to make lower wages.
Hello everyone, this is Emmanuel Cook. We will be reacting to a new video today, so make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe down below, and let's get into the video.
I can't stop thinking about this guy who said that no one's goal is to change the system. Everyone's goal is just to be rich enough, gain enough wealth to exit the system. And this really hit me as a financial advisor because this is exactly what I help my clients do. We work and work and work so that we have enough wealth so that I put them in a position so that they never have to be affected by the system again. And this is a really, really sad state of things because it tells us that there is no worth in being a kind person. There's no worth in making a positive contribution to the world. There's no worth in leaving this earth a better place for the people who are coming after you. The only worth is the number on the page because that's what insulates you from the pain of a system that was designed only for that top 1%.
This is a comment on a video I made about the ultra wealthy taking all these steps to avoid paying taxes. And it's a really bad and ignorant take. I mean, for starters, we as taxpayers are actually subsidizing these companies. These are some of the examples of subsidies that are listed by the World Trade Organization that these corporations are receiving. And the assumption is that this fuels the economy, people are spending more, and these companies are earning more, and then they're putting a chunk of that back into the government in the form of taxes. Except these people keep finding loopholes so they can get around that part of it, and they keep the extra money for themselves. And the other thing to consider is they are not earning this money. Like, let's say that someone accumulates $10 billion in wealth over the course of their lifetime. If they work for 40 years, that amounts to $250 million a year. Assuming a 40-hour work week, they are making $120,000 an hour. No one individual creates enough value to be worth $120,000 an hour. So what's happening is the company with all of its employees is creating that value, but the individual at the top is the one keeping the wealth. They are taking more than their fair share relative to what they are paying their employees. And then those employees are paying disproportionately more taxes than those wealthy people. So they're basically working the system every chance they get and keeping the profit for themselves. And while the Republican mantra is that super high tax rates will hurt the economy, there's actually a lot of data that that's not true. Boomers were born into a society that was doing really well with high tax rates. The economy was booming. Now, as tax rates have been driven down, our economy has done worse. I mean, our government might be overspending. They may not be using money in the best way, but history shows us that when we give the government more money in the form of taxes, everyone does better.
I remember getting my first credit card, and it said that if I spent $1,000 in the first month, I would get enough points for a plane ticket. So I spent $1,000 and I got a plane ticket. The thing is, I didn't have $1,000. So it just sat there and I proceeded to get charged more in interest on that $1,000 than I would have if I had just bought the plane ticket. But let's talk about these reward programs. They aren't just there because big banks and credit card companies like doing nice things. They're there because they want you using your card. These reward programs are paid for through invisible charges called swipe fees. And they're the hidden fees that we're not told about, but are added onto each and every purchase. The average American family ends up paying $1,000 per year in these hidden fees. But when was the last time you got $1,000 from a rewards program? I checked my current credit card, and to get $1,000 in rewards points, I would need to spend $100,000. On that one card. Shockingly, the large banks and credit card companies are opposed to this. I wonder why. So if you're seeing this, tell your member of Congress that you already pay enough as it is, and it's time to support credit card swipe fee reform.
I've been thinking this weekend and trying to come up with a simple way to say this, and I think that this is an interesting question. We are so divested from and disconnected from purposes. And so if I asked you, like, if you wanted to move away to the middle of nowhere and build yourself a house, why would you do that? Why would you build a house? You would build a house so that you have safety and security and a place to heat out of the environment and keep predators out, and it's your place to live, right? That's what the purpose of that house. And every swing of the hammer and every log you cut and every shingle you lay down would benefit you 100%. 100% of your effort and labor will benefit you and your family. And instead, we live in capitalism, where great big buildings are built, and the primary purpose of that building is not to build housing. It's to make a developer profit. And every tradesperson who stepped sight onto this building being built only was paid a fraction of the value they created. And so our purpose is gone. I think that's why people are so upset and disconnected, because the value and the purpose of everything we do doesn't benefit us. And I think that our little mammalian brains understand that we are so exploited and disconnected from our food sources, the purpose of making things. We're so disconnected from that it's just constantly irritating us. And that's why in this stage of capitalism, people are so disillusioned and disenfranchised, is because the world we live in doesn't benefit us and isn't tangible and useful and productive and meaningful in any way other than making someone money. And that's not why humans evolved. That isn't what we are meant to be. We should be creators and makers and gardeners and ranchers, and where our benefit is directly given to us for our labor. Just something to think about on a random Sunday.
I was having a conversation the other day, and I was like, if I wanted to make money, I would put like a 30% interest rate on the rich guy who came in, because at least I know it would definitely get paid. Because putting a high interest rate on a loan for the poor person, I'm not going to see that money. It's going to take forever for me to see that money. I feel like I wouldn't really be making money from that. And plus, it's just making it so much harder for that person to get out of this hole. People want to do well for themselves, but the system, it pushes them deeper into the hole. It makes it so much harder to get out. Why wouldn't I want to give them an interest rate that makes it easier for them to pay it off and actually helps them lift themselves up? Give a high interest rate to the people who can afford it, who won't become homeless or lose the ability to eat for paying it. They have the means to do it, and it won't hurt them in the slightest. We punish people for being poor. I don't know why it took me until now for that to click. I don't know. I just never thought to second guess that. Looking at it, really thinking about it, it's extremely unethical. Why give the most expensive rates to the poor? They'll never pay it off. It will keep them perpetually poor forever. We're not supposed to be keeping our people poor. Like, do you see where I'm going with this? I hope I make sense. Do you see what I'm saying? This is fucked up. The rich know they can afford it. I don't see how they could see it as any kind of punishment for being successful. If I'm making enough money, I'm well off. If I can afford 3 houses, 5 cars, 2 yachts, I don't understand why I wouldn't be taxed the proper amount per my income. Why should I get the 1 to 5% interest on my loan? And then a poor individual bringing home maybe $25,000, $30,000 a year, seeing 25 to 30% interest alone. How does that make any fucking sense? That person is going to continue to struggle. That person is going to have such a tough time at making ends meet. Meanwhile, it wasn't even a dent in my wallet. It wasn't anything to me. It didn't hurt me at all. If anything, I'll piss and moan about it, but it didn't hurt me. The rich are just a bunch of wine asses.
Do you ever wonder how people are affording things?
I share my own story about this because for a long period of time, I never realized how many people have a lot of money. I'm in Massachusetts, so I've definitely seen varying levels of wealth. There are some really, really wealthy parts of that area of the country, and there are also some not. The one thing, though, that really did change my entire perception, not only of earning money, spending money, but really like the amount of wealth in the world that exists and how many people have millions and millions of dollars and tons of money. That perception for me changed when I moved to California. The biggest things I learned coming out here is that there are so many people who have so much money, so many people who have super, super, super high paying jobs. All that to say, growing up, and I think right when I entered the workforce, I was so I just couldn't comprehend how people could have so much money because I'd never really seen it in the way that I've seen it here. Moving out here has made me realize people earn. It's completely changed my relationship with earning money and spending money. And I've actually been able to totally and completely transform my income. That's not to say you need to move to California to make money. As a matter of fact, I would highly recommend that you don't. Sometimes perspective can change the way you view your own situation. And I do think that seeing other people who are super successful is a really great way to motivate you to make changes in your life to make it happen for you, if it's something that you want.
I do know one thing. When I hear someone's a billionaire, I'm like, you know you did some shady shit to get there.
Okay, I'm so excited to talk about this, and I just want to preface this to say this is no shade against this creator. I love her. This is just a beautiful textbook example about how if you have resentment towards wealthy and rich people, how it could secretly be biting you in the ass to manifesting more money. So essentially, this is a perfect example of harboring resentment towards quote unquote wealthy people, and when you have that, you actually block more money than coming into you. Now let me give you an example. So when I was living in Bali, I remember looking at this guy who had a Lamborghini, and I was like, what an idiot, why are you driving a Lamborghini in Bali? Like, that's so rude. And then I was like, oh, I'm catching myself, because if my brain views having wealth and having money and being extremely wealthy to be a bad thing, that you've done something bad or you're an asshole if you're displaying your wealth, then money is not going to want to come to you, because they're like, oh, well, if let's say me, if Marley thinks that being wealthy means that you're an asshole, then it's going to be like, okay, we're just going to go to someone who is embodying wealth, who doesn't have any negative emotions about wealth. So T. Harv Eker talks about this in Secrets of a Millionaire Mind, and this blew my mind. And I'm so aware of it now, and I hear it all the time, people talking about this, that if you have a limited belief or a negative belief around someone having money, then you are actually blocking yourself from attracting more money.
So many people are obsessed with old money. And I remember growing up poor that I just wish that I could rewrite my story. I really was a long lost princess, and then they're going to find me and I'm going to have all of the nice, luxurious things that I've always wanted. But trust me, you don't want part of that old money. If you feel into the energy of old money, it's blood money. And you know what I mean by that. You want this new money that's coming in. There's this new energy, and you can feel it when you're not in the mainstream discussion about money. The economy is doing better than it ever has, but it doesn't feel that way because groceries are 40% more, and there seems to be more social inequity than there ever was before. And people's mental health is in the toilet. But that's our own doing. It's our own doing. And so in order to undo that, there is a new consciousness that's already here, and it's moving through more and more. And here's how you can scoop up this new consciousness. This new money, new consciousness is not based in blood and sacrificing others and sacrificing yourself. It is based on your ability to wield the God power within you, which is your own creativity. You have all been gifted, you've all been implanted with the seeds of this new fortune. But in order to access it, you need to use your creativity, because we're not creating money the way that we used to anymore, which was enslaving people and oppressing people. We are creating money from this new energy that needs to be generated, that needs to be seeded, that needs to be planted into the world right now. So what does that mean? It means that project that you've always wanted to do, that artistic project or that album or that book or whatever it is, do it. Commit to it and do it. Because even if that project changes. Even if you decide not to write the book while you're writing the book, the most important thing is you're accessing that new energy of creativity. You need to activate the creative energy in your life right now. So if you have all these ideas, take action on them. There's this beautiful balance of feminine and masculine energy that you need to start employing in your life right now. The feminine has the idea and the desire, and the masculine simply goes and does it. So what are you waiting for? Go create, go build a new world.
A quick reminder, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe down below, and let's continue the video.
I am sick of being poor. I am sick of being broke all the fucking time. I am sick of begging and have to work my fucking ass off and save every last goddamn dollar for the shit that so many people around me don't even have to worry about ever. Okay, I am so sick and tired of every time something fucking crazy hits my life or some situation happens, it always takes a sum out of the money that I have been saving, working so hard to save for something for me. I am so tired of every time I want to buy myself something and actually take care of myself and decide to do something like, okay, I'm gonna buy me a new pair of shoes. I have to feel so fucking shit after it. Every time I go out and have to buy stuff for my house, I feel like shit after it because it's more money lost than I can't even afford to lose half the time. I am so sick and tired of being poor. I'm tired.
What you are experiencing, majority of other people are experiencing the exact same thing. They may appear to be fine, but they are not. They are not fine. They are struggling just like you. They're poor just like you. They are tired of being poor just like you. Stop assuming other people have it all figured out. They don't. Most of us don't have it all figured out. Most of us are struggling. Most of us are tired of being poor. We are experiencing the exact same thing that you're experiencing, and we totally understand you.
Sometimes I be looking at people's files when I be doing them. And most times I work with a lot of high income earners. I had one file, this guy made well over $750 something thousand. And his wife made, I think that year she may have made around $200 and some thousand. They were down in Florida, mind you. Florida does not have state tax. So these people were making hand over fist money for that year. Do you know that they did not pay their taxes for the last 5 years? Believe it or not, there are more people than not that do not pay their taxes, and then they will wait until they get a bank levy or IRS levy or CP 504 document, and then they want to scramble to pay their taxes. Pay your taxes.
I don't see why we're not all in agreement that the more you make from this society, the more you earn, the better life you lead, the more taxes you pay. By nature, places like Amazon uses more of our natural resources, uses more of our roads, our public resources, and they don't pay into the system the way they should. Replace Amazon with almost any other ultra wealthy person who has a big business or who, again, utilizes our Earth's resources and benefits from human labor. They should absolutely pay more. They benefit from public systems. They should pay into the public more. They use the public systems more often than we do. They should pay more. And when places like Walmart employs the most people who are on government assistance, they are literally stealing from the taxpayers. You're worried about who is getting your benefits, your tax dollars. What about the people that are making it necessary so they can live ultra lavish lifestyles and, again, utilize our resources and our public services and don't pay back into it? Not even as much as the average single mom does.
You know what I'm starting to realize? It ain't nothing but the rich versus the poor, bro. That's it. Ain't nothing in between.
The reason why the poor and rich don't get along is not because of the way that they live their life. It's because the way that they see things. things. Rich people tend to be problem solvers. They tend to not make excuses. They are more collaborative. They're not really jealous or envious. Poor people tend to be in victim mode, tend to make excuses, tend to complain all the time, tend to rely on the government to help them. Whereas a lot of rich people don't trust the government and they take success into their own hands and don't rely on anyone to become successful. It's not that rich people look down on poor people, it's that rich people just vibrate on a different frequency.
I'm so tired of just waking up, working, and the same daily routine. Which let me start off saying I'm happy to be working because there's a lot of people that's not that want to. You know what I'm saying? But I just want to be the person to wake up and just have that notification. You hit the lottery. Oh my goodness, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Which I do know what I'm gonna do because I already got a lot of shit pre-planned. You know what I'm saying? I'm already ahead of the game and I ain't got no fucking money, which is crazy. But I need to win the lottery or I need public clearsing housing to kidnap me from my job. And y'all need to come get me only if you have that check. Okay, y'all know what's next. The bank deposit. Talking about it's going to take a few days because of the amount of money. Bitch, you need to clear right now. I'm ready to ball. Shit. Y'all know what I'm saying? I'm ready to live the good, rich life.
Does anyone else feel like they're on autopilot where they just live the same day, week, month, year over and over and over again? Like, I hate the fact that I have to be at work on Monday, and I know that my week is going to consist of working until Friday, and I can't do what I want to do until Saturday or Sunday, and I don't understand the point of it all. Like, I go to work and make very little money. I just don't understand. I don't understand why I'm doing this. Like, what for? Like, I would love just to live my life the way I want to live my life and enjoy the things I want to enjoy and not worry about the fact that I have to be in bed by a certain time because I've got to get up in the morning because I have to go to work and I have to do things at work I don't want to do. And it's all because we live in a capitalistic society, and we're consumed by money, and we're consumed by having all these things. We have to wants instead of needs, and I just can't keep up. Like, I am maxed out. Is anybody else maxed out? And then we have Christmas coming up, and that is like really stressing me out because I can't make Christmas happen this year the way I want to. I can't do it. Like, I've tried everything, and my kids are going to be disappointed, and I'm going to be disappointed. So I'm not looking forward to the holidays when it should be about family and friends and about good times instead of worrying about money. And all this is driven by money, and I am sick to death of being driven by money. And this app, I mean, thank goodness for this app because I've found like-minded people who are not driven by money and who kind of think the same way I do. And I mean, does anybody else feel this way? Like, are you sick of being driven by money, and are you sick of living the same week, day, month, year over and over again for no reason, just to obtain things that we don't really need? And I don't know, I'm exhausted even thinking about it, but let me know in the comments. Thanks.
The more I listen to other people's experiences with and at work, as well as take note of what I'm going through myself, the more frustrated I am with the system for truly not understanding that we are all human. We have limits, we have breaking points, we have feelings, we have personal problems outside of work. And then having to deal with low pay, being overworked, high expectations, toxic environments, the list goes on. It's just so unbearable how you can get through the 5 days of the week that you're supposed to spend with work. I know that, unfortunately, me saying this is not going to change the system in any way, but maybe there's something we can do to kind of help each other when we encounter other workers. I think being patient and just empathizing could really help them get through it, as well as like it being reciprocated back for us when we are working that day. At this point, I think that's the only thing that could really help.
Money and our lack of it. And I know some of you are going to say, Sharon, money can't buy you happiness. Money isn't everything. I'm thoroughly convinced that the only people that say that are people who have never had it. Because when you don't have money, like you really don't have money, it is everything. And sure, it can't buy you happiness, but being able to provide the basic necessities for yourself and your family sure makes being happy a hell of a lot easier. But please, go on. Let's keep asking billionaires why the rest of the world is unhappy.
Look, I'm not going to weigh into politics because I don't believe there's any point. And I say there's no point because the narrative, what they want us to do is they want us to argue. We're Americans. And I don't know how else to say this other than it's not about red and blue. They want to make it sound like it's red versus blue, blue versus red state, blue state, red state. That's an illusion. That's to get you believing in something different than what the real problem is. Because the real problem is rich versus poor. The rich are taking it all. They're not taking some. They're taking it all. I mean, all you have to do, haven't you experienced that in the last few years? The rich corporations are trying to take it all. They want every last dollar. They're raising prices just because they can, just because they know you have no other choice. When you go to the grocery store, how many companies do you think are represented there? Because for about 90% of the grocery store, it's about 4. It's about 4 companies. Yeah, for 90% of what's available at the supermarket, 4 companies. And guess what? Over the last few years, they've done nothing but double and triple your prices. But in the news, it's going to be red versus blue, blue state versus red state, Democrat versus Republican, blah, 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 blah. That's not who's taking it to you. It's not a Republican coming after me. It's not a Democrat coming after me. It's rich people coming after me. It's rich people taking everything you and I got. Everything. And the only thing they leave are crumbs. And that's what they want us to fight over. They want us to fight over the crumbs. So, despite everything going on over the next few months, just remember this. It's not about blue and red. They're going to constantly, in the news, who do you think the news is owned by? Rich people own the news. So yeah, they're going to push this red versus blue, blue versus red narrative. And it's got nothing to do with that. Absolutely nothing. It's all about the rich continuing to get all the benefits, all the tax benefits, all the money. And the rest of us fighting for the few crumbs left on the table. Let me know what you think. Like and follow for more.
He is spitting facts right now. It is the rich versus the poor. It has always been like this since the beginning of time. And this will never change. It has always been the rich versus the poor. It is not red versus blue. It's not this group versus this group. All of that is just a facade. It's not real. At the end of the day, it is about money, power, and control. It has always been about that. Who owns what and how they use that for power. That's it. He is absolutely spot on with this. It's not red versus blue or this group versus this group. It is all a plan. Just keep us fighting while they get more money, more status, more power, more control over our lives. It's been like this since the beginning of time. Nothing has changed. You guys need to wake up. Come on now.
One comment I see a lot that's 100% wrong when it comes to tax fraud, tax cheats, etc., is people saying something to the effect of like, well, it's not like the IRS will check their social media. See, they absolutely do. Just last month, some top OF creators who live very lavish lifestyles, are very public about the money they make, how they're spending it, they were issued grand jury subpoenas along with their CPAs. It's an active, open investigation, so very well they could find nothing wrong. Maybe everything they did was above the board, they were appropriately claiming their income, their deductions, etc., and there's no change. But I want you to remember is what prompted this was the way they were living and displaying their life online. The IRS is allowed to search public record. They can go on your Facebook, they can go on your Twitter, they can go on your TikTok and use that as evidence when they are trying to figure out, is this person dodging taxes? They can also do this to see if there's a mismatch in the type of income you're claiming versus the lifestyle you're living. So if you're like, oh, I'm a $50,000 W-2 wage earner and that's all you report, yet you live in a $2 million mansion, drive a Ferrari, and go out to VIP tables at clubs every night, that's going to be a red flag because your lifestyle does not match your income. I know we were all taught this as kids, but let me just reaffirm, be careful about the type of stuff you are putting on social media, especially in regard to anything tax related.
Billionaires truly believe that we exist for their benefit, and they have rigged the system so that that is the case. But the thing is, it doesn't have to be that way. We have the power to change it, and it's happening. The tides are turning. But I wanted to point out specifically 2 instances that feel the exact same and invoke the same reaction in me. One is the Kellogg's CEO telling people that if they can't afford groceries, to buy cereal and eat cereal for dinner. And the other is Elon Musk's mother saying that people don't have to go out to eat and people don't have to go to the movie theaters and they don't have to live in affordable housing, that they can have essentially 3 children and live in a 2-bedroom apartment that overlooks the garage, but that people should have children, that it's not enough of an excuse that it's too expensive. Her son is the richest man on the planet. He has $500 billion to his name. And they are so out of touch with reality and the reality that we live that they feel comfortable saying these things and think that it's going to ring true, that we're going to be like, oh yeah, we could eat cereal for dinner. Life saved. Thanks, CEO that makes millions of dollars. Yeah, we could just live in spend $3,000 a month on a tiny little apartment and just pop out babies and, work 5 jobs and have to pay outrageous childcare costs and health costs and work ourselves to death to put more money in your child's pocket for your benefit. That sounds great. No, that is not the life that we are living, and the tides are turning. And it's not just here in America, it is happening all over, of people saying enough is enough, that we don't have to live this way, that we don't want the world that the 1% wants to create for us that only benefits them, that there are more of us than there are of them. I'm loving the rise.
Is anyone else getting alarmed at how common burnout is? All the time I see all these books and seminars and posts about how to deal with burnout, and they're just coming at me thick and fast. It's not that I think the resources are ill-intentioned. It is a good idea to learn how to handle stress better. And I'm even glad that the experience has a name, because it does count for something when you're going through it, and to feel less alone. I even recognize that burnout is not at all a new phenomenon. Humans will always find ways to be stressing about something, because we're humans and we just love getting anxious. And I also recognize that in a lot of ways work has become better than in other periods of history. But seriously, why are we normalizing burnout? If everyone will experience burnout 1 or 2 or 12 times during their career, why are we not more alarmed about that? This really shouldn't be normal, and we all know it. We all feel it. We all are seeing and feeling how the system is making us sick. We all are feeling that pressure of how housing and school and food and healthcare costs are just skyrocketing, while wages are stagnating, and the rich just continue to get richer. And they're trying to convince us that if we can't pay our bills, we should just work harder, get a second job, get a third job. It's just because of our own laziness. It's not their fault. Let's stop blaming the victims, just expecting people to trudge through their own inevitable burnout. Start blaming the perpetrators. This isn't the way it needs to be. The fact that burnout is expected means the system needs to change because it's making people sick. Let's get angry about this collective wound being inflicted on us.
I appreciate you guys watching the video today. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.